A cop pulls you over, calls in a dog, and then searches your car. It happens fast. But just because a dog sniffs your car doesn't mean the search was legal. There are three powerful legal reasons that a canine search can be ruled unconstitutional. And in this video, I'm going to break those down using real Florida case law. Now listen, my name is Rick Fletcher, and I am a criminal defense lawyer here in St. Petersburg. I help people fight DUI charges, drug charges, and one of the first things I look at in any vehicle search is, was the canine sniff legal? We'll cover two key cases here in Florida, the Beecher case and the Ford case, and walk through the exact situations where a dog sniff, even with an alert, may not hold up in court. So let's start with the first major limitation. Beecher v. State, the first thing that can invalidate a canine search is when the traffic stop is prolonged to give time for the dog to arrive. Now in Beecher v. State, the defendant was pulled over for a tag light violation. Now it sounds simple enough, but what happens next really matters. After stopping Mr. Beecher, the officer quickly gathered all of the information he needed. He got the driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. He even called in to verify there were no outstanding warrants. At that point, the mission of the traffic stop, which was to check the tag light, was complete. But instead of letting Beecher go, the officer held him longer just to wait for a canine unit to arrive. The canine showed up about 12 minutes after the stop should have been over. The dog alerted and the vehicle was searched. But the court threw it all out. Now why do you ask? Because under Rodriguez v. United States, once the purpose of the traffic stop is complete, officers cannot prolong the stop without independent, reasonable suspicion. So in Beecher, there was none. The officer had no facts that suggested Beecher was involved in any criminal activity. He just wanted the dog to do the sniff. So the court ruled that the prolonged detention was illegal. And because the sniff and subsequent search were based on that delay, the evidence was suppressed. But here's the catch. If the officer still has legitimate tasks to complete related to the purpose of the traffic stop, like writing a ticket or running checks, and the dog arrives during that time, the sniff might still be legal. So timing matters. If your case is factually different than Beecher's, if the dog arrived right away, or if the stop was still ongoing for valid reasons, the same rule may not apply. That's why every second of body cam footage matters. Now, let's move on to the second case, and the second way a canine search can be ruled unconstitutional. When a dog's alert can't distinguish between legal and illegal substances. So now we're talking about the Ford case. In Ford v. State, the driver pulled over and a trained canine conducted a sniff of the vehicle. The dog alerted to narcotics in the vehicle, and the police used that alert to search the car and arrest Mr. Ford. But here's what changed the outcome. The court examined that the dog was trained to detect and what it was not trained to detect. So it turns out the canine had been trained to alert to marijuana, but could not distinguish between hemp, which is legal, and cannabis, which is not legal. The court concluded that an alert to a substance that could just as easily have been legal as illegal does not establish probable cause. This is especially important post-2019 when hemp became legal in Florida, and its smell and chemical profile are nearly identical to marijuana. So unless the dog is trained to differentiate between THC levels above 0.03, which they generally are not, the alert is ambiguous and the search may be invalid. But again, context matters. If the dog alerts and the officer observes other signs of criminal activity, like visible contraband in the car or an admission, the court might still uphold the search. So we dig into the dog's training records, what substances it alerts to, and what else the officer observed. Now the third way a canine search falls apart is if the traffic stop itself was illegal. This is called the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. If the officer didn't have a valid legal reason to pull you over, then everything that follows from that stop, including a dog sniff and any evidence found, must be suppressed. For example, an officer stops you claiming you failed to maintain a single lane, but the dash cam shows that you didn't, or the tag light was claimed to be out, but later inspection proves that the tag light wasn't out. These types of fabricated or mistaken stops can invalidate even a legitimate dog alert, because if the stop never should have happened in the first place, the dog never had a right to sniff your car in the first place. So here are the three ways a canine search becomes unconstitutional. Number one, again, is the unlawful prolongation. If the officer extends the stop just to wait for a dog and has no new suspicion, that's a Fourth Amendment violation. Ambiguous alerts is number two. If the dog is trained to alert to legal substances like hemp and can't distinguish it from marijuana, the alert doesn't provide probable cause. And then number 3, if the initial basis of the stop was illegal. Any sniff that happens afterward is also inadmissible. So if you were pulled over and a canine sniff led to your arrest, don't assume the case is open and shut. At Fletcher & Fletcher, we examine the timing of the stop, the legitimacy of the reason for the stop, and the canine's training and alert behavior. And if the law was violated, we fight to get that evidence suppressed. So if you need help, you can call us at 727-369-9850. You can visit us on our website, which is stpetecriminaldefense.com. You can send me an email, rick@stpetecriminaldefense.com. Now, if this breakdown has helped you understand your rights, make sure to like and subscribe, drop your questions in the comments, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and all other social media platforms. And remember, the dog may bark, but the law still bites. So thank you for watching. Stay calm, stay little, call your lawyer.